Hi, Marika.
Hi, Shelby.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Okay, I guess we should get started, eh?
Yes.
Okay. Um, Welcome to blisstree.com. And it's that time of year again when getting invitations to several parties for the same night is often the norm. Of course, with several celebrations on weekends and weeknights, we get together and we have a lot of fun. But it's also time when we think about safety issues. With me is Shelby Knox, an expert in sex ed and women's issues, and she has some tips that can keep us from being unwanted statistics. Shelby, what kind of statistics are we talking about in this case?
Well, as I'm sure you've heard recently, 1 in 4 young people has a sexually transmitted infection. The United States still has one of the highest unintended pregnancy rates in the entire world. And, this is one of those correlation versus causation, but more babies are born in September than any other month in the year. So we can tell that there is some unsafe sex going on around this time.
Wow. And sometimes, I mean, obviously the sexual activity is consensual, but sometimes, unfortunately, it's not. And can you give us a few hints on how women and young women in particular can protect themselves from if they're going out to house parties and stuff like that?
Absolutely. So, being safe is all about having a plan, especially when you're talking about sex. So, if you're going to have sex, you need to have a plan A. Here, I'm talking about condoms, boy or girl. If you're going to have sex, you need to go out and buy those and do it before the night when you're about to go out. As you said, safe sex is what we always aim for. We want that to be the everyday reality, and yet we know it's not. So, it's also important to have a plan B. I talk about plan B one step. It is the only one pill emergency contraception that can be taken up to 72 hours after unprotected sex. This is something that you can get at your pharmacy if you're 17 years or older. And as you probably know, everything is closed on New Year's Day. So this is something that you should go ask your pharmacist for it and have it in your medicine cabinet in case something does happen on New Year's Eve.
Now, what about the people that would say, but you're just asking for trouble if you're going ahead and getting that ahead of time?
Well, I would say umbrellas don't cause rain. Being prepared doesn't make something happen. In fact, the more plans you have, the more responsible you plan to be, the more likely you are to make good decisions.
Oh, that's a really good point. There's also talk about the date rape drug and how girls and women have to be careful about not leaving their drinks unattended and to watch for anything suspicious. Can you give any hints for something like that to prevent something untoward happening in that respect?
Absolutely. So, the same rules for New Year's Eve as every other night. Take your drink only from the bartender. Don't accept drinks from people you don't know. Don't set your drink down while you dance. Hand it to a friend. Make sure someone's watching it all the time. And if it does get left unattended, consider that gone. There is no 5-second rule. Just go and get another drink just to be safe.
Okay. And what about if a girl finds herself in a situation where she's feeling very uncomfortable? Is there anything that she can do to let's say she's usually out in the party with friends and then she finds herself alone? Is there a special are there suggestions that you can give her for trying to stay safe and try to get out of that situation?
Well, first, I would say that if you have an instinct that something is wrong, something probably is, and trust that. Secondly, try not to go out alone. Have a sober sister. Have one young woman who is with your group who is going to do a count at the end of the night. Make sure everyone is there. Make sure no one's gone off with some creeper. But I would say when a young woman gets in a one-on-one situation with someone, to try to excuse herself as quickly as possible, to text message someone to say, hey, I need you to come help me get out of this. And if it does get into a sort of serious situation, you always get you more attention instead of just screaming or saying someone's trying to hurt me, to yell fire, because people will come more quickly in that situation.
That's right, I've heard that. Now, talking about texting, what about this whole phenomenon of tweeting where people like to tweet and tell people what they're doing and where they are? What do you think about that?
Well, I personally love Twitter, and I know y'all have one too. You could follow me, Shelby Knox, all one word. But, what might seem like a fun timeline for you and your friends, where you're going, what party you're going to be at, can sort of read like a roadmap to either a stalker or just like some creeper who you went on one date with and you never want to see again. If you put all that information out there, you're letting everyone know where you are and where you're going to be.
Okay. So in other words, like everything else, it's a good tool, but you have to be careful how you use it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have any other last-minute suggestions for young women and young men? I mean, we're focusing on young women, but for young men who are going out who want to make sure that their sisters and girlfriends and even female friends are staying safe.
Sure. It's all about having a plan. Plan your night in advance. You know, you want to have your designated driver. You want to know where you're going. You want to have your condoms, and make sure that you're protected. And it's all about having fun. I don't ever want people to walk around with a target on their back, feeling like they have to feel unsafe. It's about planning beforehand so that you can enjoy your evening. And I also mentioned a resource before that I wanted to tell your audience where to get it. Plan B One Step has a website, www.planb1step.com. You can enter your zip code and find out where to get it.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Shelby. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I'm sure our readers and our listeners will as well.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.